from WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Beat the Champ as we continue our stay here at the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls, USA. And Sue, we have a great, fun show for everybody. It's a high school bowling challenge, but when we talk about these being really high-level high school bowlers, they are some serious bowlers, young bowlers in Western New York.
Right, yeah, this is the next generation up and coming, and they're going to bowl scratch. And these are all Classic League performers.
Yeah, and it was not easy for them to get to this show either.
No, this was based on a proprietors tournament. It was the Autumn Classic, and it was held at Venner Lanes too. So you'll see that these kids have come from all over, not just from the area, but they're Orchard Park, all the high schools, they're part of the proprietors. And these were the top four. And there was scholarship money involved. The top the top woman, top man got $500 of scholarship money for college.
All right, so it's two guys in match number one, two gals in match number two, and the winners will square off for our championship. If I can spit it out, we'll get to it. Should be some great bowling from some terrific young bowlers, so let's get rolling. It is match number one. It's Mike Weber on the right in the yellow and black, and this gentleman, Tom Clanky, and the two high school bowlers that qualified for this tournament will start things off. And these are two young, impressive bowlers, Sue, and looking forward to seeing their style and seeing how they adapt to what we've already seen here from the Rapids Bowling Center, which is these lanes are getting a little fishy, so to speak, here.
Yep, well, we've got Fran Bax keeping score to help them give them inside info on the lanes.
We'll talk about that in a moment, but Tom Clanky with a strike right off the bat there. And when you get your first look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, we just happen to find a Hall of Famer wandering around, and we put him to work. So Fran Bax is taking care of our scorekeeping duties here today. Here's Mike Weber. And Mike's got a nice, good stroke with a lot of pin action there. He'll go for a spare in frame number one.
Well, they're very different styles. Mike, higher rev rate, opens up the lane more. You know, definitely likes to see his ball hook. Tom, on the other hand, plays more down and in, keeps it a lot simpler. And we'll see how this is going to fare in today's lane conditions, because we know that they're a little challenging after, 3 weeks of bowling on them.
Yeah, and I think something else is going to come into play here. You know my favorite statistic from last week's show, which is the miles per hour, the ball speed. I can already see Mike Weber is pushing 20 miles per hour with his. And that's a nice strike, and that one will chime in on the radar gun at almost 18 miles per hour.
And that's because where it's charting the speed is down the lane, and it's already started to make its move. And once the ball starts to curve, it's going to lose momentum. So down the lane, 2/3 down the lane, that thing's going fast.
You see the vital numbers on Tom Clanky from Orchard Park. Bowls for the Quakers at the high school level, 205 average, and he's off to a great start with a pair of strikes. 18 years old is Tom Clanky, and he got into this sport pretty early. At 2 years old, he hit the lanes for the first time. How about that?
I hope he was using bumpers.
I don't know.
He could have been a prodigy, just came out and threw it just like that.
No kidding. So you see the early look at the good scores being put up by both guys here. So this is frame number 3 for Tom Clanky. Nice smooth stroke. Boy, that ball just looks pretty spinning its way down the lanes.
He uses that height and he uses his length to get that rotation down the lane. He gets it very straight down the lane. He's not opening up. He's not doing anything fancy. It's almost like him, the super straight arm swing, and then the ball just goes straight down the lane.
We've had some bowlers on the regular show. Josh Nowak is the one that comes to mind. They're tall bowlers, and you've broken down a little bit of what both the benefits and the challenges are from being that tall. And that's something Tom will have to adjust to as he moves forward in his bowling career.
He's got a game that's going to keep him out of trouble in a lot of situations. He's just very down and in, and he doesn't do anything fancy. Nice rotation on the ball, and he'll be very
Yeah,
durable.
And Mike Weber, 15 years old from Tonawanda. Again, one of those early bowlers since the age of 3 years old. And boy, you talk about different approaches and different styles.
Right.
Watch Mike. He literally looks like he is going to take the ball, run it down the lanes, and just smack all the pins out of the way. Lots of power, lots of speed there.
Well, Mike has also been introduced to lane number 4.
Yeah. Welcome to Rapids Bowling Center,
Welcome
Mike.
to lane number 4. And this is where Tom's simpler game is going to keep him out of trouble.
There's a nice strike for Mike. Mike bowls on the St. Joe's varsity bowling team. That's where he goes to school. I mentioned Tom goes to school at Orchard Park and bowls on their division title team. And they were a winner, were the Orchard Park Quakers, of a recent holiday tournament. So good things going on down there in Orchard Park on the bowling front. A regular in the Saturday morning league at Strikers is Tom Clanky. And boy, Tom looks great. That strikes in 3 of the first 4 matches, first 4 frames. I'll tell you, between since we've been here at Rapids, between 21-year-olds Dana Vojtovich, Kevin Bianco, 26-year-old Tyler Molina, and some of the other great young bowlers.
Steve Biondi's 25.
Some of the great young bowlers we've had on this show. I'm telling you, the future of this sport is in really good hands. A little subtle fist pump there. Tom, you're allowed to pump the fist after 4 strikes in the first 5 frames.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
One of the things that I would say to a young bowler that I maybe don't see as much of now as I did in my college days is interact with the older bowlers. You know, when you put your team together, don't be afraid to. Wow, what a great shot!
Beautiful.
I am so impressed. Don't be afraid to mix and match with a few older, experienced bowlers, because they're going to show you the way, and you're going to learn so much from the people that came before you. Just like all of this information we pour out on the show, all the older bowlers are a wealth of this information, and they're going to help you along.
Boy, Mike almost got that pin to bounce from one side to the other to take out the 10 pin. That was a throw at almost 19 miles per hour down the lane. Just look how hard and forceful Mike throws the ball.
Look at that backswing. Now, let's compare their backswings as they're bowling, just because of Tom's got a different, he's very tall, very long arms, and you're going to see how much shorter his backswing is, which is strange. He's generating his speed from his backswing.
Wow, nice. That's one of the nicest throws of the day for Mike Weber. Big strike for him in the 8th frame. So Tom Clanky has got 4 in a row and 6 out of 7 for the 18-year-old from Orchard Park. And he's got mom and his sisters and his dad and his sisters and his grandma cheering him on here at Rapids Bowling Center. And
so
they got a lot to cheer about.
If you see his arm swing, it's shoulder high. And shoulder high is the fundamentally perfect place for your backswing.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
There's nothing wrong with the high backswing, but it tends to be a little more erratic and
much
not
like
as easy
golf.
to
The
control.
farther you go back, the more things can go wrong on the way down.
That is a picture perfect backswing up shoulder level.
Ah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way, because I think we've started to see so many young bowlers with those really crazy high backswings in order to generate more power.
And repetition, of course, is important, but power is supposed to be generated with your legs,
Right.
not with your swing.
I'm glad Fran's relaxing over there. I haven't seen him write a thing down yet. I don't know how those numbers are even appearing on there. There you go, another one for Tom. All right, now I can verify that Fran is actually working. I see him over there writing stuff down. Good penmanship over there by Fran as well, too.
When the lanes get like this, where you've got a lot of dry to the right, and you have to open up the lane, and your game is such that you open it up like Michael's is, his game needs some oil. You tend to get some overreaction there because of the high rev rate.
Mike bowls in a junior league on Saturdays, bowls in a Pepsi Travel League on Sundays, and then, of course, as I mentioned, bowls for the St. Joe's Marauders in the Monsignor Martin Varsity Bowling League. So he stays pretty busy here. 2016 under 15 New York State Scratch Singles Champion. And when he was a 7th grader, led Ken Maurice to a Section 6 title before moving on to St. Joe's. Also competed at the Junior Gold Tournament in Cleveland last year. Made the first 2 cuts and into the final rounds, where he finished overall 43rd out of 600 bowlers in his division. How about that for some accomplishments at a very young age?
Very young age. He's 15 years old.
And you said this isn't Mike's first appearance here on Beat the Champ. We've seen him before in one of the other youth bowling challenges over the last couple of years.
Yep, we saw him in the father-son, and his dad also had bowled with his sister, and we talked about the competition between brother and sister.
That's right. Now I remember.
Good spare.
So these two guys, Mike and Tom, have been very impressive to watch here. It's a 185 on the board for Mike Weber, and as good as that score is, it's not going to be enough because Tom Clanky has been just rattling off the strikes. 7 of them already so far as he hits the 10th frame. So we know Tom is going to advance to our championship match. He will play the winner of our next match, which will feature Sarah Rott versus Danielle Milo, and they were the 2 female bowlers that qualified in this all-Western New York competition. Right. So the winner of that match will advance on to take on Tom. And these next 2 matches should be terrific. And speaking of terrific, he is Tom terrific. 226 to 185 win for Tom Clanky to get things off to a great start here on our high school bowling challenge here from the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. More of Beat the Champ coming up right after this. Hey, Mike, a terrific performance for you. When your opponent starts knocking those strikes down early, you kind of know you're going to be in for one of those matches, don't you?
Yeah, Tom was throwing the ball really nice. I didn't throw the ball I wanted to. He bowled really well.
We rattled off some of the achievements that you've already done in this sport. What do you like so much about bowling, and where do you think you can go with this sport?
I don't know. I've been doing it my whole life. I love bowling. It's just something I feel good when I'm doing. And hopefully, I get a college scholarship through bowling. Already did a little through Junior Gold, so.
Well, good for you. Keep up the good work. We've already had you on this show a couple of times more. I sense not going to be very far before we get you on the show in the regular competition. So yeah. Mike Weber doing a great job here in his first match. We've got the ladies up next. Stick around. Beat the Champ comes back to the Rapids Bowling Center right after this. Well, it's time for the ladies to take over. On the right, you saw Sarah Rott, and this is Danielle Milo, and they were the top female qualifiers in our Bowling Proprietors All-Western New York Challenge qualifying. So they're the ones that are going off in this match, the winner to take on Tom Clanky for our overall championship. And Danielle Milo, 17 years old, a senior at Orchard Park High School, will start things off. Good form, good way to get things started here with a good spare opportunity for Danielle. 200 average for Danielle, who has been bowling since she's 4 years old.
and you'll see the difference in the ball speed between the girls and the guys. So we'll have to manipulate that a bit with equipment and where we stand on the lane, because as a rule, we
and I
throw
want
it
you
a
to
little bit
explain a
slower.
little bit of that, because I think people find that interesting. Is how do you account for the lack of ball speed? What are some of those ways that you can do that? Good spare for Danielle to start things off. And we'll get our first look at Sarah Rott, 17 years old, also from Orchard Park. Matter of fact, Danielle and Sarah, teammates on the Orchard Park varsity bowling team. They've been teammates together for 5 years. So
wow.
This is kind of fun for, I don't know, maybe it's not fun. They're two friends and teammates, and they're going at it here in this match. Now, Sarah may look familiar to you if you were watching any of our last 3 weeks of shows here at the Rapids Bowling Center, because she did an outstanding job filling in for Janelle Saban on the Castellone's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. She did a great job over the last 3 weeks. We had to downgrade a little bit with Fran Bax right now handling the scoreboard from where Sarah was, but we'll muddle our way through.
Oh, look at her cool spare ball.
I like that. So 2 outstanding young female bowlers going at it here in our championship match, and this has to be special for you. This has to take you a little bit back to some of your high school bowling days.
Yeah, well, I wasn't that good in high school.
Come on.
College
now.
really made a big difference for me. But like I said to you earlier, I love their attire. I love the fact they look the part. I was always a big proponent of maintaining,
Great strike for Sarah.
like making bowling be classy enough for the girls to wear skirts and the men to continue to wear dress pants. And that's kind of when that fell away in the classic
You're
days.
old school, aren't you?
I like
Old school, I said.
Yeah, I like the sport of bowling, and I respect it. So I love the skirts. I love seeing these girls dress the part, and I really am enjoying watching it.
Yeah, we are too. And these are 2 terrific young bowlers. Tell you more about some of their achievements as we move forward.
Well, I sympathize with that because her timing is a little bit off. You saw that little double dribble over there where the ball kind of bounced in the approach. That happens. That's kind of one of the things that kind of happen to me when I'm off. So I empathize with that right there. And you have to project the ball out and onto the lane. And when your timing's off and you get to the line before the ball does, it kind of tends to fall off your hand.
You just can't make the spare pickup, can Danielle right there. And a little slap of the hand of frustration as well, too. 200 average, as you saw. Got a good cheering section on. She's got mom and dad and brother Ben and grandma Linda and grandpa Jim all cheering them on. And there's the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard with the always good-looking Fran Bax manning the scoreboard for this week's show. He was just kind of hanging around here at the Rapids Bowling Center, right? And we said, let's put him to work. I feel like I want to get him, the way he's kind of relaxed hanging out there, I want to get him like a lounge chair and like a drink with an umbrella in it. Danielle bowls on Saturday mornings or Saturdays at in a junior league at Strikers out in Orchard Park, and holds a nice 202 average there. And then, of course, bowls on the Orchard Park varsity team, and has also bowled at some high-level junior gold tournaments as well, too.
Yeah, but none of them have the cameras on you like this, and I have to think that would make you just a little bit nervous.
Almost a good spare pickup there. Nicely done by Danielle. So now we'll shift gears and move it over to Sarah. Newer to the game of bowling, took it up at a little bit of an older age, more like 8 or 9 years old when she decided to start bowling, and she has a nice 195 average right now. Mom and Dad are here cheering her on as well, too. And again, bonus points for Sarah for putting a long day in here today. She has been here all all day for all 4 of our show tapings as she handled the scoreboard duties and did a great job of that.
Yep, you're right about that. She should have some inside information here on watching what people went through all day.
Yes, well, like I said, that's right. Hopefully she was watching and learning a little bit. So tell everybody a little bit about what you were saying before, which is, you know, as a young female bowler, the speed isn't going to be quite where the men's and the boys' speeds are. So how do you compensate with equipment and with placement and lining up and so forth?
Well, a couple things will happen. You're either going to adjust your release. You know, we're going to have to compensate it in some way, and most of it will be with less aggressive equipment. We won't use as strong of a layout, as strong of a ball as, you know, someone with more ball speed can. That was a good shot right there.
Perfect. Every way, that was perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Yeah,
Just didn't get it to turn enough.
there's a spot there. I can see it. It's like a little bit to the right of the second arrow where the oil's kind of built up from people pushing and playing inside of that and pushing the oil off to the right, because it kind of splashes.
So it hit that oil, it slowed it down, it prevented it from making the right to left turn it needed to make to hit the pocket.
Well, when it hits the oil, it actually speeds it up, believe it or not.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
When it hits the dry, when it hits the friction, that's when the ball slows down.
I'm thinking that
either
the
way,
oil has built up, almost puddled a little bit.
It does.
But that actually speeds it up because you pick up more of the
creates
oil.
skid.
Skid, gotcha.
So the ball can't roll out of it.
So there's the updated Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, and you can see that this match is still tight. Got an 18-pin difference right
Well, it's
now.
actually
Less than that?
It's actually 2 pins because they're in different. She's just going into her 8th frame.
Gotcha.
So now, because of the 7 count, it's 1 pin.
Now it's that right. Now we're down to single digits.
It's 1 pin in Sarah's advantage.
So this one's going to come right down to the end here.
It is.
With the winner to bowl Tom Clanky, also from Orchard Park, our winner of the first match, and that will determine our champion.
And Sarah actually won the autumn tournament, which is what brought her to be the scorekeeper, because as the winner of the tournament, she was invited to be the guest scorekeeper today, and then sort of get a little introduction into what was coming for the 4th show. So we got to see her a little bit, and now we get to watch her perform.
Had a good month-long stay here at the Rapids Bowling Center. This is always one of our favorite places to bring the Beat the Champ show. We always get, Niagara Falls has some great bowlers. Niagara Falls, North Tonawanda, Niagara County always has some great bowlers. Anytime we come up to here or Lockport, we always have a good time. But we always seem to get a great lineup of bowlers at the Rapids Bowling Center. And then in turn, this is a place where you can really score well, just like Danielle did there.
Right. Yeah, notoriously this is a high scoring condition, but after a whole bunch of games have been bowled, it's, you know, natural breakdown of lanes.
Right. You know, we've had some outstanding accomplishments, some long winning streaks here at the Rapids Bowling Center over the couple of years of doing the show. So we know when we're coming up here, when you're hopping on the Niagara Falls Boulevard to come to the Rapids Bowling Center, you're always going to be entertained. Good form again for Sarah. Just got it a little bit left of the head pin and left the 2 pins that you see.
Well, it's been the story of the whole day. How do you manage lane 4? You know, just because it hooks more, you have to overcome that. And that's just one of the obstacles of bowling, is reading the lane and then adjusting to it accordingly. Nice spare.
That ball, that hypnotizing ball, hypnotized the pins there for a nice spare for Sarah.
I know, I love that ball. That might be my next spare ball.
Oh, there you go. Just to sort of throw your opponent off a little bit, right?
Some of those balls those they're called visiballs. I think that might be a visiball, but they have a different, they're not truly plastic. They're made out of like a tackier substance, and then they can pick up a little bit of a roll. So they don't truly go as straight as the traditional plastic ball.
Now, at what point in a young bowler's evolution do you start to make the move to the really high-tech bowling balls?
I would say pretty early, because the high-tech bowling balls are all different, have all, oof, that's gonna be trouble.
Sarah didn't like that. Just got a little bit too much to the left.
They have different capabilities, and it's just like golf clubs, right? So you have golf clubs that go longer, shorter, drivers. I'm not as schooled on golf, but it's the same thing with having an arsenal of bowling balls, and they're all high tech. It's just they do different things, and you have to have enough balls in your arsenal to deal with whatever's out there.
So you see the final score of 158 posted for Sarah Rott. And Danielle was hoping she could get all 10 of those and grab the strike there. Still tight, this one, huh?
Yes, she needs a spare and 8.
Spare and 8 to win for Danielle.
Yeah, spare and 7 is a tie.
All right, so now she's got to start by grabbing this single pin spare, and then we'll see if she has what she needs to win. Big spare ball for Danielle. Got it. Nicely done. Okay, so one more throw for Danielle. 7 pins for a tie, 8 pins for a win.
Correct.
And then if she gets the 8, she will advance on in our championship match against Tom Clanky. The Castellone scoreboard tells you the story. So here we go. Key moment for Danielle Milo. Oh, only 6 pins. Wow. Tough break for Danielle, and it's a 1-pin victory for Sarah.
I'm speechless.
Wow.
That's welcome to lane 4.
Yep, welcome to lane 4. Welcome to the Rapids Bowling Center. Oh, I hate to have to do it, but we'll talk to Danielle about that frustrating finish when we come back and get you ready for our championship match here on Beat the Champ from the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. Oh, Danielle, never fun to lose a 1-pin match like that, but that's part of learning the ups and downs of the sport, isn't it?
Yeah, that was rough. That was a hard loss.
Right. Did you kind of know going into it what you needed to do on that one?
Yeah.
It is a little tough. You've achieved an awful lot of good things in your bowling career. What is it that you like so much about this sport, and where do you want to go with it?
Oh, I just love the competitiveness. I love that drive to do well and make good shots, and I want to go bowling college, so we'll see where that goes.
All right, well, keep up the good work. An impressive performance today. A tough way to have it end, but a good job from Sarah. We got our championship match coming up. It is Tom and it is Sarah. Danielle did a nice job in pushing Sarah. We'll have that match for you when we return to the Rapids Bowling Center. Beat the Champ is back right after this. It's our championship match between Tom Clanky and Sarah Rott, a pair of Orchard Park High School students and 2 of the better young bowlers in Western New York, and they'll be bowling here to claim the Rapids Bowling Center High School Bowling Challenge Championship in this match. So what's the setup here, Sue? We've seen both of these Tom and Sarah bowl before, and we've seen a lot of good stuff out of both of them.
Well, I think Thomas has a little bit more experience behind him, and he's a little bit older, and able to overpower the lane just a little bit with his ball speed. So it'll be a challenge for Sarah to keep up with that, because he's got a lot of things going in his favor. But hopefully she just makes the right adjustments and keeps the ball in play, and we can have a nice little match out of it.
Right, no handicap or anything. This is a scratch match here, so nobody getting any extra pins, and right off the bat, match and strike for strike here. Frame number 1. What have you seen about Sarah's game so far through the first match that we just saw from her?
Sarah's got good timing. Sarah's got good hand position. She has good fundamentals. I really like her as an up-and-coming bowler. And like every bowler, they're going to have to learn how to make ball adjustments, and good job there.
Yeah, great job. Well, we spend a lot of time talking about adjustments when we're talking about the higher level male bowlers here on the show, but how do you learn that? What are the easiest ways to start to understand when to make the adjustment and how to make the adjustment?
Exactly what I said before, surround yourself with older bowlers.
Gotcha.
I mean, we would not have learned that yeah, you can read books and you can read manuals and you can read all of this jargon on these performance bowling balls that make absolutely no sense to you unless you're a physics major. Your local pro shop guy can be of help. The person that drills your bowling balls can do a lot to explain to you what the ball does, and you can go to that person and say, this is what I'm seeing, this ball, leaves this, or I'm having this issue, and they will help you pick your next bowling ball.
3 strikes for Tom Clanky, who, speaking of which, has Josh Nowak at the National Bowling Store take care of his bowling balls for him as well, too, and that's a good place to start.
Absolutely, because they're going to match your roll-up with the ball that's going to be the best for you, and that would be the person to take the most time with you to explain equipment.
Right.
But there's again, throw a little bit of an older person in your life, a mentor, a coach.
Meanwhile, Sarah uses Dave Williamson over at Spare Time for her bowling balls, and there's another super high-level experienced guy in this town. And,
very knowledgeable.
And honestly, the best piece of advice you might be able to give to both Tom and to Sarah is, after this match, go over and introduce yourself to Fran Bax and ask him a question or two and learn from him, because there's a Hall of Famer that's about 10 feet away.
If he gives you a straight answer, because he can be pretty funny and be a jester.
So you're telling me you might not always get a good answer out of Fran, depending on the mood that he's in, huh? If we have worn him out there manhandling or manning the Castellone scoreboard, then you never quite know what you'll get out of him. And there he is, and there it is, the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard.
He is realizing what Janelle goes through, standing there.
Not such an easy job,
and she's standing there in high-heeled shoes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Fran is not wearing high heels.
I'm pretty sure he's not.
Oh, and just couldn't get the spare pick up there in frame number 4 for Sarah, but what a great start.
Great start.
Each Tom and Sarah starting with 3 consecutive strikes.
I'm super proud of her. She made a move and changed bowling balls, and very proud of her.
Well, maybe you're the Hall of Famer that she should come over and get to know a little better.
She can.
Frame number 4 for Tom Clanky. And he is perfect. 18-year-old from Buffalo, attends Orchard Park High School. And as we saw in his win over Mike Weber, a very impressive young part of Orchard Park's division title winning varsity bowling team. Boy, I'll tell you what, how about that?
So
5 frames, 5 strikes.
There's an example right there. He got that ball way inside of his target. He pulled it. But because of his ball speed, 18 miles per hour, and the fact that he was on the tighter lane, he was able to get a break and trip that 4-pin. But, you know, with a girl with a slower speed, that wouldn't happen. Great shot.
And another good shot on a very difficult lane number 4
Great
for
shot.
Sarah. 17 years old from Orchard Park. Again, also a student at Orchard Park High School. She's a junior there and a part of their Section 6 Girls Bowling Championship team.
Great spin.
Nicely done.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Strikes in the first 3, strikes in the last 2. Oh, is it going to go down? No. My goodness, about a 4-inch wobble from left to right wasn't enough to get the 7-pin down. We needed Fran Bax to give it the evil eye there to get that pin to fall down. Come on, Fran, what do we got you over there for? Just your random Hall of Famer working the scoreboard for us, huh? Love it. A little frustration there from Sarah, as you might expect. By the way, thanks for Fran for doing that. That's great. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago, and he was able to stick around and take care of it for us. And you talk about one of the great ambassadors of bowling in Western New York. Good job, Fran. Thanks for helping us out. Oh, and there's a wobble that does go down for Tom. You know, sometimes those pins fall and sometimes they don't, right?
From my experience with bowl with Liz Johnson for as long as I have, she's got one of those rules that somehow are able to trip 4 pins more often than others, and he seems to have a similar kind of role that he can trip 4 pins, which is a nice thing to have, because when the ball is a little bit high flush, a lot of times you'll leave that 4 pin, and if your roll kind of tends to get the pins rolling and trip it, it's a nice asset to have.
Finishing off the 9th frame here for Tom Clanky. We're going to crown a high school bowling champion in just a matter of minutes. So now Sarah will move to the 9th frame. She's still in this. Yeah, she's still in this. Don't forget to join us next week on Beat the Champ, when we will move the traveling bowling show to the city of Buffalo at the Kearns Avenue Bowling Center, where we'll pick up our competition again with Steve Biondi advancing from here at the Rapids to take on a whole new group of qualifiers at the Kearns Avenue Bowling Center. Much different conditions, wood lanes, a much older, quirky house, but is that a nice way of putting it?
Sure.
So we'll have a lot of fun as we move on to next month's set of shows. Tenth frame.
Nice shot.
Another good shot for Sarah. Boy, I am super impressed with both of these young bowlers. They are, we've had a lot of young bowlers on our shows before, as we move through the cycle of the last 2 years, and these two are jumping out as two of the most impressive ones we've had.
Absolutely.
So one more for Sarah before she posts the final score up. Don't forget, top qualifiers in the round of 24 at each of our stops here on Beat the Champ wins a television valued at $500 from Dirt Cheap TV. We've given one away from here at Rapids. We've given one away for Kearns Avenue, and we'll give one away for our next qualifying at Transit Lanes. You can get all the information and the dates on the qualifying on the Facebook page. and not what Sarah wanted, but you can't argue with a 199 final score for her.
Nope, she bowled really well, made really good decisions there.
So now the pressure on Tom to finish strong here and get the win. What a nice, easy, relaxed stroke, and the results come from that.
Amazing.
Can't wait to watch Tom advance on
You're
in
right.
his
I'm
bowling
very
career.
impressed with these two young
You know,
bowlers.
if you and I are still around for this show in the next couple of years, we're going to see Tom on the show pretty regularly.
I hope we're still around.
We might, well, you know, they might, you know, might kick us out of here eventually, but I guarantee you we're going to see a guy like Tom matching with the likes of the Tyler Molinas and the Kevin Biancos and the Dana Vojtoviches of the world.
Yep.
Maybe he'll even match up against Fran Bax and he could say, remember that one time when you were the scorekeeper on my high school bowling challenge match?
I could say so much, and I'm just gonna let it go.
Don't do it. Don't do it. We've been nice to Fran today here. Chance to finish it out here for Tom and finish it strong, and he gets the spare, and it's gonna be a win for Tom Clanky, 220 to 199 over Sarah Rott in an outstanding match between these two young bowlers. Can't wait to talk to both of them and wrap up our month-long stay in Niagara Falls. When Sue and I return, you're watching Beat the Champ. Well, Tom Clanky is the winner of our high school bowling challenge, but congratulations to both Tom and Sarah. You guys put on a terrific show. What was more fun, scorekeeping or actually bowling?
Probably actually bowling.
I thought so. I thought so. Hey, take us through how that match went. You were going toe-to-toe, strike to strike with him.
You know, Tom's a really good bowler, and he was really good competition. So it was a really nice way to kind of up my game, and you know, just kind of stick with him throughout the entire thing. So.
What do you like so much about this sport?
I don't know. I guess just kind of like the feeling of winning, and then the like how tough the competition could actually get, and just knowing that there's always going to be someone better than you, and there's always going to be someone worse than you, and just knowing that you can always improve and everything.
There you go. Always want to test yourself against the best, right, Sue?
Hey, Tom, great bowl and very impressed with your game. What's the future hold for you in bowling?
I don't really know it's going to happen because I'm going either Canisius or UB for engineering. So it's really just going to be like normal Friday nights with my dad.
Oh, wow. Well, we've had a couple great bowlers out there that have put their schooling ahead of the bowling, but I know you're always going to be there and be in tournaments because, man, you throw it good.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
All right, what a great show, and also with Danielle and Mike did a great job as well too. This is a lot of fun for Sue and I. We hope you enjoyed us too, seeing some of the really great future of bowling here in Western New York, particularly from Sarah and Tom. Sue and I will come back to wrap this up when we return to the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. More Beat the Champ right after this. It's Paul, it's Sue, it's Hall of Famer Fran Bax to wrap things up here at the Rapids Bowling Center. I asked Sarah the same question. What was more difficult, bowling or scorekeeping?
Scorekeeping. I have a new appreciation for what Janelle Sabin does. She could have her job back. Janelle, good to have you back. You're here.
Yeah, I think all of Western New York is happy to hear that as well.
I'm sure they are.
Hey, it was a pleasure to have you not only be a part of the bowling, but helping us out as well too. It's always, look at this, I got Hall of Famers on both sides of me. That's pretty cool.
It's good to be among you guys. It was a great week, a great month. And I'm looking forward to more. Just hope my health holds up that I can make more appearances.
I'm sure we're going to see more of him too as well. We know we're moving this show on to Kearns Avenue, where there's always good bowling. Steve Biondi, we know, is going to move on. So looking forward to it, Sue.
Well, absolutely. We always love going over there. There's great food, great entertainment. Lots of people come to watch there. So I think it's going to be fun.
All right, well, that's next week, but we want to thank everybody here in Niagara Falls for a great month-long stay. We always enjoy coming to the Rapids Bowling Center. Make sure you come out here and check things out as well, too. But we will see you next week from the city of Buffalo at Kearns Avenue. From everybody here at WBBZ, have yourself a great week. We'll talk to you next week on Beat the Champ.